the public here. Our process will be, if anybody wants to ask any questions or comments, is if you wish to give us any information that relates to something that we'll be discussing later on, now is your opportunity to sort of say your piece, and then obviously we will be able to take that into account when we come on to discuss your issue later on. So am I right in thinking that Mike Stevenson is here to say something to us about the grant application for the festival?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah.
So, Mike, would you like, you've got a couple of minutes to give us your pitch.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'm sure, hopefully you've seen that we've put an application in for a grant for the festival, for the Gate to Southwell Festival. I was hoping to get 5 minutes, I think Honor was telling me, but if I've got 2, I'll try and hurry up.
Well, 3, I think, officially.
Okay, right, okay. So hopefully everyone's aware of what the Gate to Southwell Festival is all about. Locally known as the Folk Festival, but we are very much more diverse than just folk music. There's all sorts of music goes on at the festival, as well as spoken word and poetry and street theatre and all that kind of thing. We've been going since 2007. This will be our 14th festival. It should have been the 15th this year, but obviously we had to cancel last year. We're moving from the race course, where we've been for the last 5 or so years, to a site in Kirklington for 2021. We're planning to hold the festival in September, first weekend in September, all things going well. And but we expect to have all sorts of COVID restrictions and protocols in place on site to help us run it. But who knows what the position is going to be then? But we are planning for it to go ahead. So we're moving to Kirklington. It's a little bit further away than the race course. It's probably about the same drive time as going to the race course from town as it is to get to Kirklington, and that's where all the main festival activities happen. But we do put on as much as possible in town as well, and the grant application relates to things that are going on in town. So that includes the procession that we have of Morris dancing through the town on Saturday morning, as well as all the bands that we put on in pubs. There's probably 6 or 8 some years, or 10 some years actually, bands from all over the world that will come and play in. At the moment, we've got the Hearty Goodfellow and the Final Whistle, where we put bands on. And you get bands from the USA, from Canada, that you would never normally be able to see in venues like that. And if you haven't seen them, I'd highly recommend it. So there's lots going on in town, but to do that we need road closure for the procession, and we need buses to get people from the sites, particularly the dancers and the artists who come in to perform. But it also gets people from town out to the site as well and back again, although they do make a small contribution, but it doesn't by any means cover the costs of the buses. So that's kind of a bit of background. We also have outreach to local schools. We've got people going to schools teaching dancing, and then kids from schools come and perform in a competition on site as well. Last year we were supposed to be having a workshop, a ska and reggae workshop with quite a big reggae band from London who are going to be giving a workshop to members of the Nottingham Youth Orchestra who are going to be playing on Sunday as well this year. But we're hoping that can go ahead again next year. So there's all sorts of things like that go on as well. I should say also, we're a not-for-profit organisation. We're all volunteers who run it. We all do it in our spare time. So anything the festival makes gets played back into the festival and into all the activities that we put on. So yeah, we've put an application in for a grant of £1,000, which is to cover 2 things. The first one is the road closure. So it's £500 for the road closure. Perhaps that won't be needed if the COVID closure on Saturday morning is carrying on into September. That may be happening anyway, in which case that might not be required. And then there's £500 to cover the cost of the buses to bring people in and out. The buses overall cost us about £2,000 across the weekend. We're also hoping, so that brings dancers in for the procession on the Saturday, which the road closure's for. But we've also got an idea. I'd like to talk to the council about maybe having with the road closure on Saturday, maybe extending that or preceding that with the closure on Friday evening, and having a kind of a torchlit procession maybe on Friday evening. Maybe the council could arrange a special market in Market Square at the same time, and making that more of an event on Friday evening as well. So the cost would cover that as well.
Great.
But it's all about trying to get the festival vibe happening in town, getting as many people involved in it as possible in town, and bringing the festival into Southall itself. So that's the main points I wanted to cover, hopefully. Thank you for having me on. If you've got any questions, please fire away.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Mike. Michael Jeffrey, would you like to ask Mike a question?
Well, it was just the matter that I've raised, and I've written a piece about the gate saw, and I actually took part in the first reenactment. And if you contacted Clark, she's got the piece that I wrote, because it is actually the presentation of the Pentecostal offering to the Minster Church. But I won't bore you with that, Mike. I'm not against the festival at all. I'm all in favour of it, but I just think it's about time, you know, before I shuffle off into the shades, that somebody makes it right. It's nothing to do with gates. It's a spelling mistake. It's the walk, G-A-I-T. Anyway, that's enough from me.
Thank you, Michael. David, you're mute, by the way. Dave, turn your mic on. I can't hear you. You're mute. Turn it on. Still not on.
While you're waiting for him, can you start my video? It says it's disabled.
Honor, are you host, or Leslie? I don't know if you can help Stuart there. David,
you can't start your video because the host has disabled it.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, I don't know what you're up to, Stuart, but anyway, perhaps one of the hosts could look into that. David, you seem to have
I was wondering why the change to Kirkland. Is it because of flooding risk down at the racecourse?
Can I answer that? Mike has actually, we've got a lot of, if you look at the application paperwork, there's a really expansive explanation of why it's changed from site to site, Dave. So just given we've got the time, Mike has actually provided all that information for us.
I mean, very briefly, the racecourse couldn't host us again, or weren't in position to say they could host us again this year because of works going on there and COVID and everything else. And we looked all around town. We've tried lots of places around town, and Kirklington was the place we settled on.
Perfect.
Thanks, David. Any other questions? Okay, great. We're going to come on to this later on, Mike. You can hang around, or you can leave us now and watch on Facebook.
I'll watch it on Facebook, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Kick me out now, Honor. Bye.
Bye.
We have another member of the public here. Have you joined us because you want to say anything or ask any questions?